Welcome to episode 15 of Masters of the Forge. I'm Adam.
And I'm Snuda.
And Camille's on sabbatical.
Yep.
So it's us, knuckleheads, in the gender neutral man cave. Wait.
It was,
what?
gender neutral man cave. That's kind of, that
weird.
Just doesn't work.
No. More coffee.
Yay! Yes, we're both low on sleep, and it's a really early morning Adam's end, and I've been up all night, so yeah, this is going to be a very fun intro. I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah, I went to Primus last night. Yeah, Primus and the Chocolate Factory. It was phenomenal. It was so good. I was so excited.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, you haven't lived until you've heard Primus sing Pure Imagination from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that the songs are available on YouTube, because I'm sure I've heard some of them. I'm pretty sure it was on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And well, it's Charlie the Chocolate Factory hilariousness, and it's Primus doing it, making it even more hilarious.
It is so good, and like he's on his game too. Les is. I mean, the man's a genius, right? You know the funny kind of joke that him and Metallica did, where they were looking for a new bassist, and they turned down Les because he was too good.
Yeah.
I think that was just a skit they did or something, but it's still funny.
Yeah, Primus is one of those 90s gems that old people like us just have these romantic thoughts about.
Yeah, the curtain call wasn't too long either. I think Les understands that his fans are getting too old to stand there to clapping and hooting and asking for him to come back on stage. I think the pretense has been dropped. So that's good.
Yeah.
Half of us are sitting there on our phones going, yeah, come out and give us an encore.
Yeah. Holding on to our Zimmer frames.
What?
It's not that bad. I know.
Oh, so I guess I'll take it off. What else have I been doing? Well, I did work on the Titans, but I used up all my styrene strips for the edging. Like, they ran out real fast. I had a couple packs, or I had like a pack and a half left, and I used them all up on one missile launcher and like the right side of one body. So I decided not to go back to Hobbytown, USA, and instead I went straight to a store online, and I ordered a bunch of them. So instead of working more on 40K hobby, Snorri, help me. I need an intervention, and I know normally people don't ask for interventions, but I think I'm still clear-headed enough that I can look for help.
Is this kind of one of those giant foam hat interventions?
Story, I've been doing pet battles and trick-or-treating in World of Warcraft. Trick-or-treating and pet battles. Oh, it's so fun. I can't stop. Snorri, I used to be number one on my server in my pet collection, and then I quit. Then I quit playing World of Warcraft, and then I just had this notion to pay $15 and to save my character's name, because they were doing a purge of old names, and then I started playing around. I'm like, oh, this is neat. Oh, look, you can battle your pets with other people's pets, and you can battle the pets in the universe, in the world. And I'm like, oh, this is fun. And before too long, I'm like, wait a minute, why is it 1 a.m.? Like 3 days in a row? Like, oh, this is gonna be a problem. Oh.
I guess I need an intervention because I also discovered pet battles in World of Warcraft and they're kind of amusing.
Are you kidding me?
No, I haven't played in a while though, but for a while I was playing more than I like to admit.
I think I need to let this month lapse and just like stop before it gets too bad because I haven't done any hobby this week at all except for finishing which was no, this was like last week though. This was before my vacation. I finished the Deathwing, which I posted on the Masters of the Forge website.
So basically, you've been playing World of Warcraft, and trick or treating and pet battles is World of Warcraft stuff. So
Yes. Yeah, so I think I need to
bad,
let that
Adam.
lapse. Yeah, because like I asked for a few weeks off, and I'm from doing commissions so I could work on the Titans and also work on my buddy Kevin's models. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna waste my time doing this. It's been nice to relax and not work on models for once, but I think I've used up my wife's good graces and my own, sense of accomplishment. So I think after this weekend, I need to bear down and work on some of those Sisters of Battle for my buddy while I wait for the plastic strips to arrive in the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Adam, did I see some pictures of some metal Warhammer figurines?
Yes. All the money that I've been getting from working for Frontline Gaming has pretty much been going to bills, like grown up stuff. And so Wendy said, "Hey, you should really, you should really take some of that and do something for yourself." So I get a really good deal through them for models when if I don't get cash, it's actually worth a lot more the money. So I filled out my Sisters of Battle collection with like I got the box and the box was beat to hell. And when I picked it up, I'm like, I almost threw out my freaking back because it was a lot of metal in there. Like there were 9 Sisters, a Canoness, like I think 6 or 7 heavy Flamer Sisters, and just a few odds and ends like a Sister Dialogus and a Hospitaller and stuff. So that was cool to get in the mail. Just open it up and see all that uh glittering metal at the bottom of the box.
Okay. Now
Yeah,
I
I
see.
haven't paid
Now I
retail
see
for
what you're
metal
doing.
models in
But
a long time.
it just feels so wrong that you're actually being paid in the substance of your addiction. It's like, wow, you're basically being a person who works for drugs.
It's true. It's so
Ah,
true.
you need that other kind of intervention also. I feel sorry for you.
If somebody forced me to do that kind of intervention, I'd feel, we don't want to bring that upon us because I'd probably have to quit the podcast and go into a home. I could do it from the
Padded
home.
walls,
Yeah, padded walls.
humming elevator music all over the place.
So I also was a guest on another podcast.
Wow, have I missed something?
Probably
Obviously.
because I posted it all over the internet.
Yeah,
Too busy playing video games, right?
yeah, apparently, though not World of Warcraft.
No. So I was on Veterans of the Long War, which is a Northeast United States based podcast. So it was like a last second thing. I'm like, I was talking to the store owner of the store I go to about the upcoming tournament, and we really need to cast a wider net. And I remember that Veterans of the Long War sent us, a spot to play on the show, and I had listened to their show, and I noticed that they were based in Western Mass. So I thought, well, this would be a cool thing if they would be so cool to let us do like a spot for our tournament, the one I'm running, and we could also kind of pimp Masters of the Forge as well.
So they let you on the show as a thank you for us playing their spot?
Yeah, it was more of a it was like, and it was kind of like a let's just continue this collaboration type thing.
Huh.
I was like, hey man, you want to scratch my back? You know?
Well, let's scratch their back again and play
Yeah.
their spot once more.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, check out Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40k podcast on iTunes and on Facebook. We're a 40k podcast based out of Western Massachusetts with contributors from other parts of New England. We talk hobby, tactics, news and rumors, check out new releases, and talk about our local and regional 40k scene. We're looking for new contributors, so get in touch if you want to be a part. Check us out on iTunes and Facebook. That's Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40k podcast.
So yeah, you mean that one?
Yes, that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you were talking about you were on their podcast.
Yes. Oh, I was on their podcast, and you know what? They do a cool, like, freeform, no edit style podcast where it's like you're listening to a radio show, like you tuning into a radio show.
But
it's really cool.
They are recording in a radio station, aren't they? So
Yeah,
it is sort of or pretty much like a radio show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was basically calling into a radio show. It was cool, and like I said, it's a New England based 40k podcast, which is pretty unique. There's not a lot of that going on up here because most people in the Northeast are too busy, working and supporting the rest of the country. So, I'm just kidding. So, it's really cool to have that presence out there, and I was glad to be a part of the episode. It was a lot of fun. On Masters of the Forge, we have a very specific setup, and we have very specific topics that we talk about and research. It was cool to just kind of, shoot the breeze for a couple hours, which was cool.
Yeah.
Am I doing anything else? Today I am going to a tournament at Dirty Goblin Games in Queensbury, New York. This weekend is going to be a little less competitive and a little more cray-cray. We're doing 2,000 points unbound and we're doing some fun Halloween missions. So I'm looking forward to that. I should see if I can't find some kind of way to dress up a little bit for the tournament today. I only have a few hours to figure it out, but I should do something fun. I'm not sure what though, but yeah, that should be a lot of fun today. I'm bringing my alternative Du Bois GT list, the one with all the bikes. I want to see how fun that is. Obviously, there's an additional 1,500 points there, but I just added more fast stuff, so it should run pretty much the same as it will at Du Bois. So hopefully that'll be fun.
So you added a bunch of looters in trucks.
I added another squad of Mega Knobs in a truck, but yeah, basically dudes in trucks, bikes. Taking Zag Snark the Rippa from Imperial Armor 8, so he still makes bikes troops. So that should be an awesome fun list. And I didn't spend all those hours painting 37 bikes to not use them. So
yeah. I'm pretty sure that it will be revised in an upcoming new edition of this book if one comes, and they probably won't be troops anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're probably right. So I'm gonna enjoy it while it's there. Yep, exactly.
Actually, I guess I should say abuse it while you can. I played I played against orcs on bikes, and that is one nasty thing to be on the receiving end of.
They're so fast, and they got a +1 to their cover save. So if I see wave serpents, I'll be like, I can do that too. Oh, but no, I don't have a gun that ignores cover. Aww.
Yeah.
Oh, wave serpents, why are you so mean? So I just want to once again plug the tournament coming up on December 6th. December 6th, we have a tournament. It's a Highlander tournament, 1,500 points. Just go ahead and check us out if you want to check us out. It's Grimfoe Games, GRIM as in Mary, FOE games in East Greenbush, New York. We have a Facebook page. Just go ahead and do a search for Grimfoe Games Warhammer 40K, and you should be able to find it. And the rules are all there. Also, if you're a member of the Hudson Valley Wargamers Facebook page, all the information has been posted there as well. $20 entry fee. All fees go to prize support. So we have quite a few signed up already. Looks like we're at least going to be double digits, so it's not going to be a complete failure. And we're getting some fat mats, and all the tables are going to be themed. It's going to be an awesome time.
Sounds great.
Yeah, so that's it for me as the coffee slowly starts pulsing through my veins. Snorri, what have you been working on?
Working on is probably not the right word, but at least I started trying to get myself out of this hobby rut that I'm in. And I reached out to the Facebook page and asked, so how would you configure a couple of Chaos Terminators? And I got some nice feedback, and I think it was Mr. James Brown who won the prize of getting 5 Terminators built to his specifications. When I get around to it.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He's coming to the United States, right? Or is he already in the United States?
He's moving there next year.
Oh, next year. Okay. That'll be cool to have him. Yeah, he said he won't be able to make it to Adepticon this year, but hopefully we'll get to hang out with him at some point. Or I will, anyways. Oh.
Yeah, I already have. And yes, he's a very nice guy.
Cool.
But let's see. That was those guys. Yeah, work is finally starting to slow down a little bit. So that should also help me try to gather my strengths a little bit. Because, finally, after 2 weeks of crazy sales, we finally slowed down a little bit. Now we're having time to breathe again.
Until Christmas.
Yeah, well, it's not that long until next time we're having a sale, but it's probably not going to be like this crazy.
That's good.
So hopefully I'll be able to put some paint to model and build some models and, just play games again. But this is going to be an interesting time next couple of weeks, because the next episode is supposed to be recorded on the same weekend when I'm in Nottingham at the Black Library Weekender. So we're probably going to have to record early, and I hope I can get editing done properly so we can actually release it on time, even though I'll barely have come back from the UK when it's coming out.
All right. Yeah, no problem. We're never late. I mean, we could be late. Nothing on the street, and you could talk about your time there. Whatever we decide to do, just check them out. Keep on checking out the Masters of the Forge Facebook page, and you'll be apprised of the situation as it unfolds.
Yeah, any delays will be announced ahead of time, even if it's 5 minutes before it's supposed to be released.
Right.
I think we can get a little bit more of a lead on any delays.
Yeah. So, what else? Anything else, Snorri? Why were you up so late?
Can we finish my hobby progress?
Ooh, you have more hobby progress? Yes, please continue.
Well, this is the Carl Tuttle kind of hobby progress.
Oh, I love that kind. Tell me how much you spent.
I bought 2 of those Imperial Armor 13 books, one for myself and one for a friend of mine, and I'm picking them up when I'm in the UK. So that's kind of the hobby progress, if you could call it that.
Carl's been doing like an hour a night, like an hour a day of hobby progress. That's not a bad idea. It's almost like exercising, like saying, okay, I'm gonna do I'm gonna do my 30 minutes of exercise in the morning and the evening. I'm gonna do it every day. That's like a really good idea. Just like saying, no, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I sit down and do some hobby. That's a pretty cool idea.
It is, and it's also a really good way to not waste time in front of the TV doing nothing.
Yeah, no, I've been avoiding that. We just picked up Walking Dead again, and a few of our other comedies that Wendy and I watched together. Yes, I've been watching those, but I still don't do more than like an hour and a half every, average per day of the TV. So
yeah. And I don't watch TV. I just sit there mindlessly staring at my TV, watching some kind of TV series I have from DVDs or something like that, movies. But still, it takes an awful lot of time. Finally finished the first season of Blacklist, so that's out of the way.
Wendy, my wife, loves that. She loves Blacklist. It's a good one.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm not sure where they're going with the series, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah.
Another podcast.
You better not shirk your Godzilla podcast responsibilities, sir.
Well, have I?
Never.
We're
never.
Like 6,000 and something episodes, aren't we?
The Chaos book. You know what? This episode is about the Traitor Guard. So once again, some stellar planning on our part.
Yeah. Last episode
right after we.
Yeah. So it was like last episode we were talking about, there's some rumors and everything, and 3 days before we released the episode, the book dropped. So the rumors were kind of 3 days late.
We're so topical. That we're topical before the topic comes out. Like the Dark Eldar. That would have been such a great episode.
Yeah. But hey, this podcast isn't about rumors, so if we're late and if it's already known, it's like, who cares? We just talk about it because it happens to pertain to something we're about to talk about.
Mm-hmm. So, anything else, Snorri?
Yeah, you were talking about me being up late.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Again, Arma is starting to become something of a negative force in my life because it's starting to take up quite a lot of energy. But it's the good kind because it's actually wargaming, just not with miniatures, but with a PC. But we've started training because I'm part of a military realism unit, and when we're talking about training, we're talking about serious training and seriously hard training. So I was up from 2 a.m. till 7 a.m. learning how to clear houses and putting it to practice.
Nice.
That was interesting, and I died very hard.
No.
That kind of happens when you have a tank with 20mm cannons on it that just starts peppering your house, and you're like, cover, and you're like, yeah, never mind, the bullet just goes straight through everything and you die. So yeah, that was an experience, but we're getting better.
That's cool. I think I just have two little things. So I usually do the Extra Life fundraiser, but our store is kind of not like having a hard time finding a day and stuff. So instead of me asking everybody to support me in that fundraiser for Children's Miracle Network, I want everybody to go to Terry Latorco's Extra Life page and donate to her fundraiser. I know that Extra Life, the big day was just past Saturday, but you can donate at any time. And if you're interested in helping sick kids in the hospital, or you if you're not interested in it, that's fine. I mean, that's your deal. That's cool. But it's that Terry girl. She is a wargaming blogger, an important voice, partially because she's one of the few female public figures in our hobby, and I think it's so important to keep the diversity of the voices strong, but also because obviously she's got important things to say, and is a really great vlogger. She's part of the Geek and Sundry blog network or vlog network. So please go to her Extra Life page and donate to for kids. Last thing, I did start a Twitter page for for Masters of the Forge finally.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a sign of the times. A lot of young people use Twitter, and I would hate for us to kind of be stuck in the past or lose kind of engagement. Right now, it doesn't seem like too many people are engaged with that page, but we'll see. I know that the 40K community does have a very broad and diverse group. So if you're on Twitter, please go ahead and go on Twitter and follow us there. Now, the important thing is, even if you're not using it a lot, go ahead and do it anyways, because other people will see it that you've started following us, and maybe they'll be interested in following us, and it's kind of a waterfall effect or a domino effect of engagement.
Yeah.
But I think that's all I have to say, Snorri. That was a lot. So episode 15, the many faces of the Astra Militarum.
Take two.
Take two. Yeah, this is we're finally starting to kind of repeat some segments.
Indeed. Yeah. And I was thinking after we finished recording that we're talking about Traitor Guard, and of course we're doing the classic Chaos Traitor Guard. But when we were talking about the background, we actually failed to mention the Guevesa, because they are like the worst traitors, well, the second worst traitors that the Imperium knows.
Yes. Yeah, there are so many traitors, Under every rock, behind every bush is a traitor. And it's up to us to ferret them out and warn the mofos of their insidious nature,
or inspire them to start Traitor Guard armies.
Okay, yeah, there's that. Yeah, this is another one of those episodes where we talk about the fluff and also present the ways in which we would field them on the tabletop. So hopefully give the listeners some fun ideas and also entertain at the same time.
Yeah, so unless you're really repulsed by the smell of Ogren, feel free to keep listening.
Yep. All right, we'll be right back. Hey, Masters of the Forge listeners, are you looking to expand your Warhammer 40,000 gaming group?
Do you want to start a 40K club in your area?
Do you want the people you attract to be like-minded mofos?
Do you want to advertise your YouTube channel?
Or even attract more subscribers to your hobby blog or online community?
Then what better way than to advertise on the Masters of the Forge podcast?
All we ask of you is that you email us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com or message us on Facebook with a full text of your advertisement, including the region in which you live and any contact information people can use to get a hold of you.
We will have one of our many tech servitors read your advertisement on the air. We promise not to make fun of you.
Though we can't always predict the actions of our servitors, you really can't find good help these days.
No, you can't. All right, welcome back. This is our main segment where we are going to be talking about the Traitor Guard, the Lost and the Damned. So, Snorri, this is a segment which I think we're going to be talking about several vectors that a Imperial Guard regiment can be coaxed to the dark side, as it were. So it's not just people who have fallen to chaos, right?
No, it's the definition of traitor to the Imperium. It's basically anyone who doesn't do what the leadership says. Like, if you don't agree with us, oh, you're a traitor.
Yep. Or even more unfortunately for the guardsmen themselves, guard who have followed the wrong instructions by the wrong leaders.
Yeah. If your officers fall to chaos, then sorry, but you've been fighting under their command, so you must be tainted also. So no,
Yeah.
sorry.
You're expendable.
Yeah, as if Astra Militarum wasn't expendable already.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, every time I hear about or read about a Traitor Guard regiment, I can't help but feel sorry for Guardsman Bobby. Just like, he's just living his life, shooting his las gun, trying not to die. But, and hoping to one day go to the one world where retired guardsmen go, if he's lucky. But,
yeah,
and then he's following orders, and then all of a sudden there's this giant blue clad space marine chopping through him and his buddies for no reason.
Yep. And that blue guy can either be Ultramarine or Alpha Legion. It's like, it's blue to him because they're both going to kill him.
It's true. It's all the same. Oh, poor Guardsman Bobby.
Yeah, if you want to get the feeling of how Guardsmen are, just read Dead Men Walking. They don't even have names. They're not even Guardsman Bobby. They're just, Guardsman
387219 beta.
Exactly, because they die in so large quantities that remembering their names is pointless. If you get shipped into a squad, you just get the names of someone who died, so that the other people who still remember that guy can just refer to you as him, because either they are going to die or you're going to die.
Yeah, my buddy Phil has a legit Death Corps of Krieg army, and he loves the fact, like, anytime he fights the Necrons, he cracks the joke, like, "Oh, I'm fighting the Necrons, huh? Well, are you jealous of how robotic and soulless we are? You need to wipe us off the planet? Not today, sir."
Yeah. For those who don't know, Dead Men Walking is all about Necrons versus Death Corps of Krieg, and it's not pretty.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I haven't read that book, but I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure that the author made it interesting, but I can't imagine the actual, like, anything happening except for lasgun and, like, weapons fire, because I can't imagine anyone in that book having any kind of soul.
Yeah, that's why the focus of the story is about the civilians on the planet already being besieged by these Necrons.
Mm-hmm.
The Death Corps of Krieg, they show up a little bit later, and some of these civilians get drafted into the Death Corps of Krieg, and that's not a pleasant experience. But
Oh my God.
Who's the most faceless and soulless entity in that book? It's a toss-up between the Necrons and the Death Corps of Krieg, because they're equally bad.
Nice. So
But hey,
I can
yeah.
imagine why some guard regiments would either fall to chaos or want to leave the Imperium entirely. I can see it. It's easy to imagine. There's no suspension of disbelief when it comes to that kind of activity. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Just imagine being in this meat grinder known as the Astra Militarum. You're being drafted in, whether you like it or not. You can always volunteer if you're kind of crazy, but you're going in there. You're either going to die during training or you're going to die on the battlefield. It's that easy. And,
Right.
that's probably going to lead to some despair about your situation, and whether if you're unlucky or lucky, depending on how you see it, you might actually develop a taste for the killing and the maiming and seeing your fellow soldiers die horribly. So, that's the kind of entry that Chaos looks for in people, that kind of weakness.
Again, minding your own business, standing at attention. Private, where is your copy of the uplifting primer? Sorry, sir, it's in the latrine. Oh, really? Yeah, that's what happens. These people are terrible.
Yep.
So with that, may we present a very uplifting and positive outlook towards the Traitor Guard.
Yeah, the one way out that doesn't involve death, at least right away. With the uncountable number of guard regiments fighting all over the vast imperium of mankind and beyond the borders, composed of mortal men facing the horrors of the end times, betrayal is bound to happen under various circumstances. Among the lost and damned, the sum of mortal servants of chaos, the term Traitor Guard stands for all Astra Militarum turncoats in service of the ruinous powers and their champions. Compared to cultists, raiders, pirates, and the myriad other fighting forces at the disposal of chaos, most Traitor Guard forces retain a lot of their former military structure, stratagems, and war gear, especially regiments who willfully, out of desperation or deception, turned away from the Imperium as one, making them a fighting force to count with.
Yeah, so like the big difference between a rabble of cultists or a rabble of just civilians who have been pressed into service and a Traitor Guard regiment is how it retains its military structure. Most of these people have been so indoctrinated that it's probably the only thing that's keeping them in line is the fact that they have this very stressful military training that can't be beaten out of them, you know?
Yeah, they still have their loyalty towards the leadership, they still have the loyalty to each other, they have the equipment, they know the strategies, they know how to deal with situations that most people would just like, I'm kind of confused, and then bam, you're dead.
Right. Yeah, the brotherhood and also the fact that they've been taught that their training is what keeps them alive. And it's the only way they'll stay alive in this dark universe. So I can see where the specific loyalties up the food chain are less strong than the loyalties they have with their brothers in arms. So I can see where it's actually, you know, these regiments don't break down into chaotic bands of ruffians so quickly because it's been indoctrinated in them that this is the only thing that they have left and the only thing that'll keep them alive. It's base survival at this point.
Yep.
So the Traitor Guard, they fight the Long War, serving Chaos Space Marines, other champions of chaos alongside the scum of the galaxy like Beastmen, Chaos Spawn, demons, and mercenaries. It's hard to make general statements about, quote, average Traitor Guard forces, especially regarding their composition, chain of command, weapons, war machines, and sanity. So, starting with their initial demeanor, mindset, and equipment, their particular history, experiences before and after the fall, and the champions and circumstances they end up serving under produce a wide variety of possible states they end up in. So, in general, Traitor Guard is defined by a measure of still existent military discipline and chain of command. With the Astra Militarum war gear at their disposal and enough sanity to still fight their battles as they did before their turning. So, I think it's interesting to note here that when building a Traitor Guard list, I've noticed this in the past as I've kind of brainstormed lists and looked at what other people have done. I think it's hard to explain to others sometimes what you've done with your list because it'll look really confusing to someone who's generally more competitive minded. Where are all your chimeras? Why aren't your blobs blobbed up in groups of 50? Why don't you have Melta? Like these things, these questions, like where are your, back in 5th edition or 6th edition, where are your vendettas? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's a whole story behind what's happened here, and how the fall happened is going to very much determine what your list is going to look like or what your force is going to look like. And it should.
Yeah, and as you will see a little bit later when we start presenting our lists, Adam used a completely clean Astra Militarum list. My list is Astra Militarum with a little bit of demons in it, but it's
Just
still
a little sprinkle.
Yeah, a little sprinkle. You don't really have to do all kinds of crazy stuff when you do these lists, because it's what's in them. As long as it's kind of themed, then you're fine.
Right. The new rules for, the new Unbound rules and detachment rules really, really lend themselves to awesome themed lists. And in my opinion, there is no other army out there that kind of embraces this like the Traitor Guard list. Anything is possible.
Yeah, and even though technically the 7th edition book says that Astra Militarum is desperate allies with demons and Chaos Space Marines, if you feel them as Traitor Guard and you let your opponent know I'm playing Traitor Guard, then you're probably looking at least buddies. They don't have to be like bosom buddies, but I think they can be reasonably good buddies and don't have to start outside of 12 inches of each other, because they are much more comfortable with each other than the main rule book says that these codexes should be.
Right. I think that rule is a little kind of detrimental to the theme.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, it's okay. I don't, if you're playing against somebody with your list, obviously, if they want you to play with it, then, don't get bent out of shape about it, but also, be sure to talk it out.
As Forge World's Imperial Armor books 5 through 7 cover the Rax conflict, which is like the goldmine of Traitor Guard stuff, we're not going to go too much into the Rax stuff, and we're going to focus more on representing Traitor Guard using the available codex books.
Right.
Unbound.
And, it's only, I think it's only a short time before we're going to end up covering some kind of Imperial Armor or Traitor Guard list in a new format. So I think we don't want to go too far into these older sources.
The story in the Rax books is great. I read it and I love it. But the lists in it are getting quite old, and hey, they've been updated now in the new Imperial Armor 13. So if you want the one book with the new lists, that's the one you want to have a look at.
So is that announced? It
was released.
Awesome.
It was released just as we released our episode 14.
So this is great. So we're gonna do a really cool episode on Traitor Guard right before it comes out. No, that'll be a good episode in and of itself, really.
Yeah, because this episode is about how to make Traitor Guard without the book.
Right, yeah. And you know what? The Vrax book really gives us some cool ideas for building our Unbound lists, or our Amigo and Chaos clean lists, in that it's got these really cool psychers that use like chaos psychic powers in it instead of the regular Primaris psyker.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome. I like how that works, and they focus on Ogren. They have like this Ogren Berserker squad, which is really cute. It's like a D6 attacks and stuff. They're so weird.
Yeah, and as you get further into the Rax trilogy, you start looking at the Nurgle stuff, and you start to get Plague Ogrins and that kind of thing. Those Plague Ogrins are disgusting.
Nice. That is so awesome. They have things that you can do. Like, there's some cool ideas for counts as. So they have chaos banners and unholy relics as their war gear, and you can just use bits and stuff from chaos kits to represent just a regular platoon banner or regimental standard and stuff, and kind of go with that direction.
Or you can just go to Forge World and get broke.
So why would an Imperial Guard regiment fall to chaos, or just generally split away from the Imperium. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but whether it's despair from being trapped in what amounts to a death sentence, that is, living your life as a guardsman, or just having developed a genuine taste for killing, regular humans are much more prone to fall to chaos than Space Marines. They simply lack the mental fortitude of their gene-enhanced counterparts. Then there's the influence that rogue psychers can exert on an opposing or friendly force, bending the will of others to the point where they do whatever the psyker tells them to. So I think we kind of saw this kind of thing in Death of Antagonist, didn't we? It was, not direct like psychic attack, but it was very much you got to see an Imperial Guard unit kind of fall to chaos because they were seen as they were tricked into believing that they were liberators, and it was only a short time before, even though they realized what they were doing was wrong, they were stuck. And that's almost like a life lesson type thing, because sometimes you get kind of coerced. People get coerced into doing things they think is right, and all of a sudden their whole world is falling apart. Like they had no idea what they were getting into, and it's too late. Like I can imagine anybody who gets involved in like the drug trade or stuff like that, it's just too late to back out.
Yeah, and that it definitely is the downfall of a lot of characters and forces in the 40k universe, simply believing that they're doing good, but they're actually being manipulated by forces of chaos into doing evil stuff.
Yeah.
But not all Traitor Guardsmen are chaos-tainted, gibbering madmen, mutants, or diseased zombies. In the Siege of Rax, there are an estimated 4.8 million renegade militia fighting on the planet, but while a lot of these were soldiers or just thugs loyal to Cardinal Zafan, who is the main evil character, or actually second main evil character of the story, over half of them could easily be people who only fought on the side of Zafan because it was their only hope for survival. His forces were bolstered by press-ganging civilians into service. Once Rax was declared a planet in full rebellion, everyone on it were doomed, whether they supported Zafan or not. The Imperium simply doesn't care once a rebellion becomes that severe.
Right. And I suppose I could see that, and I can kind of understand that.
Yeah.
Like how many resources are you going to devote to it? But the thing about the Imperial population, in my opinion, is that if they're so easy to sway in that direction, then how easy would it be to cut the head off the beast and sway them back, right? So it's kind of lazy to me, but whatever. I'm not privy to the amount of material it takes to do that sort of thing, but it seems to me one Calidus assassin would take care of that situation.
And at this point, no.
Oh.
Because they tried to kill Cardinal Zafan with a Vindicare assassin.
Oh, he's the one that had the iron halo?
Yes. He had a Crozius or whatever it's called. I forget. But it saved him, and he spun the whole story as, oh, these are evil forces trying to take us over. He did not say that it was the Imperium trying to stop him, but evil forces of chaos. So he spun this to benefit himself and make people even more paranoid about what was going on the planet.
This is what the Overlords were talking about, right?
That is possible. I haven't listened to the Overlords for a while. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
You need a longer commute.
Yeah, I have 15 minutes of walking to and from work, so it takes a few days to listen to anything. But yeah, he keeps spinning everything, and he keeps just riling up the population to worship him more and more, and while he's being manipulated by another guy in the background, who's actually a total chaos puppet.
And we're sorry if this spoils it, but this book's been out for years, so.
Yeah. It's not like some kind of a really awesome novel that you just have to read and you don't want spoiled. This is sort of like a history book. It happened.
Right. Yeah.
Well, in 40,000 years.
Yeah. So, I can see that there's a lot of reasons why someone would fall
Yeah.
away, and
In
even if
this
you're not falling away, you're still being taken up in the tide.
Yeah, and in this case, basically, what happened to a lot of these potentially non-supporters of Safan, they had the choice of working the mines until they drop dead, or being press-ganged into military service and get killed eventually, or just get shot on spot because, well, you failed to join the military force, so you're a traitor, so we execute you.
Right.
So you're either dead in a while, or dead in an even longer while. So most of them just chose to go into military service and hope that they would actually survive longer.
Yeah, and a great way to if you want to do a story like that, I think the conscripts are your best choice in the core books. Otherwise, the Renegade Armory in Vrax does have a cool, like, pressed into service worker unit that is basically cannon fodder. Now we'll talk about the how. How does this happen? Now you can't just run up a dirt mound and shout death to the false emperor. That's not enough in itself. First off, you'd better pray to the Dark Gods so you don't get shot down in a hail of las fire. And second, the Dark Gods couldn't care less about a single individual unless that individual could sway great numbers of people to their cause. There needs to be a will to corrupt and serve, and that means get the job done, be it numbers, equipment, or skill. So if we're talking about there has to be an entity that can rally the troops, that can catch the attention of a chaos god or one of his powerful servants, or there has to be a influence in the population itself. So I could see one of the more interesting things I could see is an unhappy population kind of calling the attention of one of the sergeants of, like, Zinch or something, and they would come to the world and use their dissent to bend them in a certain direction, or simply, like we were talking about before, a corrupt governmental official,
Yeah, you could have a single squad or infantry platoon that simply just does better because they've been influenced by chaos in a way. Maybe it's just started with one individual that kind of taints the rest of the squad, and then these guys just do exceptional in combat.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly people start talking to them, listening to their stories, listening to their help, the helpful tips and everything. So, which is basically just chaos propaganda kind of thing.
Right.
And suddenly they become open to the thought that, hey, there's a better way to do this. And this spreads within the platoon. Suddenly the platoon becomes really good, and other platoons start to notice. And then then the roots have really dug in, and you can have corruption spreading like wildfire as more and more people get infected, just like a disease, really.
Yeah, there was I don't know if you've ever read A Wheel of Time, but no. there's a great little side story about this group of basically, men who can channel the one power, and they have a group called the Black Tower, which is diametrically opposed to the White Tower, which is the women. And there's a leader who has a small coven of really close supporters, like 2 or 3 guys. But by the end of this long, like, I don't remember, like 10, 12 book series, that small coterie of basically traitorous scumbags has become the majority, and the loyal men of the Black Tower become the minority. So it's something like that where just this insidious disease of traitorous thought can grow from a small group of men who people look up to. And I think you can see that happen in real life too, like college fraternities and in some police districts or even in the military, where you get this group of people who everyone looks up to, and they turn sour, and it takes brave people to expose it and stop it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the Imperium, that doesn't always happen.
No, in the Imperium, you can always just read the first couple of books in the Horus Heresy, and you also have the same thing because you have the Lodge.
Oh, the lodges. Yeah, that's another good point.
That is very much a vessel for corrupting in small numbers and just getting more people in and more people in. Those who are open to the idea get invited, and if they aren't open enough, they just, sorry, it kind of didn't work out, so, maybe later. And then as the lodge just grows and grows, suddenly it just explodes into an epidemic.
Yeah. I don't think we can stress the why and how of your Traitor Guard regiment enough. I think that will help. If you're having trouble thinking of a background, just starting with that can really help fuel the story, and it'll just start unfolding before you. All the possibilities start opening up as the story just kind of spits itself on the page.
And we have technically also done the who in the how, because it really is about who starts doing this. Is it the top of the pyramid that starts corrupting down into the ranks, or is it some soldier in the bottom just starting to do his own thing a little bit and then getting more and more people to follow him? It can start anywhere in this gigantic organization and spread every way.
Right.
It's your choice.
Yeah, and just one of my suggestions is to keep things interesting, and this goes for any background that you write for your Warhammer 40,000 armies. Sprinkle some chaos in there, and I don't mean capital C chaos, but lower C chaos. Try to throw little random things or just thematic ideas. For example, this is just a quick example. Like say you've always loved the Victoria Lamb's Highlander kilts, and you just always wanted to build an army with that. Well, you could use that thought as a way of making the story special. All right, why do these guys wear these kilts? What's the story behind that? And what about their personality will affect their fall away from the Emperor's light? So, Snorri, do you want to start talking about modeling and collecting armies?
I can. There aren't that many Traitor Guards specifically named in the 40k fluff. There are plenty of them technically, but they are mostly faceless organizations that are used as some kind of plot device in books. You have the Blood Pact, which is a Traitor Guard force, which follows Khorne, obviously, and you can probably represent them quite well with the Khorne-themed list from one of the Imperial Armor Racks books. The number escapes me at the moment, but
these guys sound awesome. Like they run up in your face and go, "We're orcs, but we're not." Clobber, clobber, clobber.
Yeah, exactly. So that's your kind of crazy, mad berserker force if you want to theme it like that.
Yeah, I'll probably, if they have that same list in the new book, I'll probably pick it up to use which we'll talk about in a later episode, to use as my Digga's allied contingent for my orcs.
Yeah. Then you have the Haradni 13th Armor Regiment, which is very tank heavy. They were based on Medusa, which is the homeworld of the Iron Hands. They were involved in the 13th Black Crusade and fought on the side of Chaos. They were something like 10,000 tanks to their name.
What?
Yes, they were massive. But they were also destroyed to a man by the Iron Hands and the local Planetary Defense Force. So, if you want to play them, then just know that you were wiped out at one point, but, who cares? Just like I have one of my side projects being a chapter that was supposedly lost to the warp for a couple of thousand years ago. Yeah, so what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what? And you know what? You can be like, oh, here we are. No, we're not the Legion of the Damned. No, really.
Exactly. Yeah,
and there's nothing saying you can't have. The galaxy is vast. There's nothing saying that there isn't another tank-based regiment out there that you can create for your own army.
Yeah.
Just be sure to put a lot of rust and cool chains. Get some hobby chain from Hobbytown USA and like spikes and rad decals or freehand of chaos symbols and crap. That's what you want. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, you probably should add some like hieroglyphic graffiti or some chaos symbols onto the tanks, just to look like it's been embellished a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Or even if you're going with just a regular or with not chaos themed, there's still going to be a little more rundown than a tank that's being taken care of at all times by tech priests and servitors.
Yes. And one of the last ones we're going to touch upon are the Prosperous Spire Guard, which is a planetary defense force that used to be on the homeworld of, well, who was that? 1,000 Suns? Planet is gone, but, the Spire Guard, they joined their masters and fled.
I've never heard of these. Do they have anything special about them? Like, do they have a lot of psychers or?
That I don't know, but I do know that they were very much elite. So this is probably one of, if you want to make a sort of like a veteran heavy
or
Traitor Guard.
What is it called? The book that came out before the Amigos?
Scions?
So yeah, yep, Scions. That would be a great list for that kind of thing. But
Tempestus Militarum.
That's it, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that would be a good list. If you want to go with an elite force of guys who are like, you know what? Drop everything. F this, we're out of here. That might be a good one. A good one to use.
We've lost the battle, so let's save what we can and head for the new home.
Yeah, we're the only ones alive, and there's a giant carpet of Tyranids headed for us.
In this case, there was a giant carpet of snarling, wolf-like space marines.
Oh yeah. I wonder how that happened.
Yep.
Speaking of no one's looking, peace. Obviously, there's a lot of options out there for everyone to build armies that are unique and interesting. Of course, there's nothing stopping you from mix matching. Like my buddy Pat did, he mix matched his Acadians with Catechin models, and also some gas mask dudes from a third party site. But there's a lot out there. I think the big one that a lot of people use is Mantic Games over at manticgames.com. They've got a few things. One is their zombie apocalypse models. They're really an affordable option for people that want to do some Nurgle fallen soldiers. That's a very popular one that a lot of people use. Now I know Snorri, you have a buddy who used the GW kits, right?
Yep. He mixed Acadians with Vampire Count zombies to make zombie-looking guardsmen.
That's a good option.
Yeah, that's his entire theme. It's an entire army of just zombified guardsmen.
So great. And it's a good option for people who, play at GW stores and they have to use GW models.
Yes.
Now, one thing that we touched upon is that the Traitor Guard are often fighting alongside the dregs of society. We're talking about like Beastmen and other even Xenos or whatever. So Mantic Games also has a Veer Mean race, which are like rat men. I think sprinkling a few of those guys into your army would be pretty cool.
They look kind of scaveny.
They're very
scaveny. Very scaveny.
Yes. So you could see those guys kind of coming out from underneath a hive or something like that, fighting alongside a uprising because they're also sick and tired of being literally pooped on all day.
And I can see these as a great stand-in for mutants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could mix and match stuff too with Spawn or whatever. What else? Victoria Miniatures, along similar lines, she has an entire range of beastmen, which are much easier to deal with than trying to cut and clip GW beastmen and make them into guardsmen. They're a little pricey compared to the other options, but as with anything, Victoria Miniatures, it's worth the cost.
And you also have Pig Iron Productions. They have a series called Colony Militia. And those are actually some cool-looking alternatives for guardsmen.
Yeah, I think those things look neat. And they're kind of mixed-matched, which is what you want to see for that kind of army. It's like what my buddy, like I was talking about, Pat, tries to do is just mix-match all these kits together and kind of create a cobbled-together feel.
Yeah, if they look like they've scavenged some of their equipment, then that's great because they don't exactly have access to Forge Worlds in the same way, or a lot of the time, at least, they don't necessarily have access to Forge Worlds to get new equipment, so they probably scavenge quite a lot and jury-rig repairs for tanks and everything.
Mm-hmm. And I personally would also recommend looking at the Deathcore models to sprinkle in there too. Some guys with gas masks and stuff. There are also third-party options to that, but I think it'd be easier to swap things out with the Forge World than with another company, because the other ones are the ones I'm talking about are very one or two pieces and very hard to kind of modify. So again, there's lots of options. If anyone has ideas for other third-party options or GW options that we overlooked, please post in the either in the Facebook post for this episode or on Twitter.
That's right. You actually started a Twitter.
I did.
I was hoping we wouldn't go down that route.
I kind of took it upon myself, but then I realized, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just go. Let's just do this.
Yep. So that's another route where you can follow us now.
Yeah. So you want to move on? Want to take a break and then talk about the lists we made for this episode?
Sure.
All right, cool. We'll be right back.
Interested in the offbeat world of 40K? Is your bits box full of 20-year-old space elves? Have you ever searched for something out of production 40K on eBay? Well, hold on to your zotes and head over to Corsair Radio. It covers the full scope of the hobby, homebrew rules, fluff, campaigns, oddball models, and more. From Terra to the Eye of Terror, visit us at corsairradio.blogspot.com. That's corsairradio.blogspot.com.
So, I think it's time to do some lists.
Yeah, welcome back. We each came up with a Imperial Guard list or Amigo list or whatever that each one has a slightly different a slightly different impetus for the fall of the regiment. So, Snorri, you want to go first?
Yeah. My list was, with the help of Adam, created to be sort of a Khorne worshipping guard list. It could be the Blood Pact, which was a named Traitor Guard force that followed Khorne, or it could be something of your own making. It was definitely the Blood Pact that inspired me to do this list.
Cool.
So it's a 1500 point Astra Militarum and Chaos Demons list, unbound. The Warlord is a Herald of Khorne without any kinds of upgrades. We have 15 Bloodletters and 10 Fleshhounds of Khorne.
This is a cool, like, little chaos contingent to really show how far the unit has fallen. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Now I remember you described these as being like not really just bloodletters, but all of these models would be possessed actual guardsmen and their pets.
For example, the Bloodletters could easily be demons that have basically just chosen to follow or join with with these Traitor Guard. But I think the idea that you had about the hounds being maybe just patrol dogs or something that have been possessed by demons, that was an awesome idea.
Thanks.
Let's move on to the Astra Militarum part of the list.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 infantry platoons. The first infantry platoon is a highly mobile anti-tank platoon. The command squad has been given 2 multiguns and a chimera. The 2 infantry squads have a chimera and 1 multigun each.
This is a neat, like, bare bones way of building a little platoon, and I think it's not only is it fluffy for the purposes of building an actual unit, but it could help you out on the table as well.
Yes. The second platoon is more of a foot guard blob, but not the big one. The command squad is housed in a chimera, but there are no upgrades. The 2 infantry squads each have a heavy weapons team with an autocannon, and that's all they get.
This is a cool unit. I think it'll be nice. You have the 4 chimeras that can be used to kind of screen the rest of your units and put down a weight of fire, while this 20-man, or I guess it would be 18, I guess, with the infantry platoon, can kind of sit back and choose light armor or infantry to shoot at and hold an objective. I think this is really I like the 2 units that are the 2 platoons having kind of different jobs.
Yeah.
It also saves points for some more fun units.
Yeah, this is where I feel that we get more of the fluff of this list. Because next up, we cranked in a Primaris Psyker to represent a Rogue Psyker. And he has Mastery level 2 and a Force Staff, but nothing else. No particular upgrades to be had there.
I would assume he's taking Demonology.
He could be Demonology, or he could take any kind of buff, really, because he's there to boost the fighting ability of his fellow soldiers. We have a squad of 4 Ogrins.
It's lovely to have some Ogrin steak to tempt the enemy with.
Yeah. These are kind of the Berserker feel. These are kind of just running around shooting at whatever they can kill because, well, they enjoy it a little bit too much.
They sure do. And you can use the chimeras to kind of screen for them, or you could use the next unit to screen for them.
Yes, because the next squad is Bolgrins. 4 of them with Power Maul and Shield. So, and these are also meant to be pretty much just mindless brute killers who just run up the field, clobbering anything that gets in their way.
I love that unit. I could even see you putting the Primaris Psyker in there. Just, why not? Why not?
Or I could put the other Psychers in there, because the last squad is a group of 5 Weird Vein Psychers.
These guys are great. They really, if you're running a Chaos Traitor list, you gotta have some Weird Vein Psychers in there, because that's just so reminiscent of any kind of like weird circle of sorcerers or whatever who are pretty much probably the reason why the demons are there.
Yeah, I think that you could almost say that Weird Vein Psychers are made for Traitor Guard, because they're kind of unstable Psychers. They're not trained as well as a Primaris Psyker, because either they can't be trained that well, or they just haven't finished training yet. Mm-hmm. In my case, I would say these are people with psychic potential that have been awakened by the presence of demons on this planet or whatever place this conflict is supposed to take place, and they've just started manifesting powers. They don't know how to control it. Mm-hmm. It could easily be demons pouring out of their mouth, and they're not supposed to be pleasant to be around. And if you read this description in the Astra Militarum Codex, it just screams Rogue Psyker.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I really like this list, man. I think this is a great idea. You're only one company command squad away from making it a Battleforged list. But to be honest, if I were to go above 1,500, I wouldn't even bother. I'd just add more Weird Vein Psychers and Bulgrins and Ogrins, because I think that's fun.
Yes. I think this could be an interesting list to play, just because it's kind of in-your-face brutal, but I don't think it's a very survivable list.
No, it's not. But who cares? Well,
exactly. Korn doesn't care.
No, he doesn't. And I think one of the cool things about about Astra Militarum is, even if you take some quote unquote less than crunchy choices, you still have these 4 chimeras putting out 6 strength 5 and 6 shots every turn. You still have this weight of fire coming from the infantry platoons. So, you're still, you get this opportunity to continue to have a weight of fire on the field, but not have to, and that leaves you open to take some fun choices. Not that we really, at the Masters of the Forge care whether we're competitive or not. It's just a fact of Astra Militarum that you're going to have built into the list some good shooting,
And I really liked one of those ideas you had about this list when we were making it, because before we started putting Weird Vein Psychers in there, you were looking at putting Ogrins in Valkyries.
Yeah.
I just have that image in my head of the angry Marines tearing their way through a Thunderhawk to get to the action a little bit faster. I'm just seeing Ogrins just ripping that Valkyrie apart, just crashing to the ground. It's like, rah!
Yeah. I would absolutely love to see a list on the field that's like 5 Valkyries with like 2 squads of veterans in 2 of them and 3 squads of Ogrin or Bulgrin in the other 3, and they're just they just shoot them out I guess they're not actually using the grav shoots, they're just pushing them out the door. What did you say? You said something like there's a commissar on each one, just shoving them out the back.
Something like that.
And to be honest, they'll probably take a lot less damage doing that than they would have walking across the battlefield anyways. And it's great that they don't have that restriction anymore where Ogrins are too afraid to get into the Valkyrie.
Yeah, they just take up a lot of seats.
Yeah, you can put 4 Ogrins in a Vendetta. No, Valkyrie. Valkyrie.
Yeah, it's a Valkyrie.
12. Yep. So yeah, that might be a fun list too. That was just what we were kind of brainstorming.
Yep.
So many options.
Indeed. So, yeah, that was 1,500 points of cornness.
Right on. So you want to double up? You want to double down and talk about the Braxia Corsairs?
Yeah, You actually went for flyers.
Yeah, I did. So my idea for my list was a world in Segmentum Obscurus where the Star Eagles had hit the planet, and the guard regiment there was actually able to escape with their planetary leaders, much to the chagrin of the Star Eagles. They boarded their ships and left because they had heard a long time ago about the reputation of the Star Eagles precedes them in that region of space. So their leaders had their transports ready to leave at any moment in case the Star Eagles showed up in their back door. So this is a group of basically Corsairs who have been exiled from their homeworld and have no true place to live. So they must go from planet to planet trying to find a place to live, or in the eyes of their leadership, a place to rule. So this list is usually going to be used as kind of a invasion force against any other Imperial list. So the list has two different forms. One is a 3,000 point list, one is a 5,000 point list. The 3,000 point list is the core of the list. It's split into four groups. One of them are the Free Wings. These are the veterans of the Braxia Corsairs. Rounding out at 1,035 points, it includes a company command squad and 3 veteran squads. The company command squad has meltaguns and an Aquila lander, as well as a few other choice upgrades. The veteran squads all have, like, the veterans have a power axe, they have shotguns, meltaguns, a heavy flamer, and crack grenades. They're highly elite and ready for pretty much anything. Each one of those is in a Valkyrie with heavy bolters. So, like I said, there's 3 of those squads, and that's the Free Wings. They're kind of like a close group. They run protection for the other landing craft when they invade a planet. The next group is the very core of the unit. The Rifleman. So they also have a company command squad led by Corporal Boris the Unlucky. He's got the standard array of officials around him, including a regimental standard and an officer of the fleet. So this is the guy who's forced to do the bidding of the leadership of this ragtag group of miscreants. There are 2 infantry platoons. They're basically meant to blob up into a group of 40 men. There are 4 infantry squads in each one, with also a heavy weapon squad. The only difference between the 2 platoons is that one platoon uses las cannons, the other platoon uses autocannons. And I also have some acolytes of the Unbound, which I run as priests. These are individuals who basically just try to keep them in line and make sure that they don't run off the battlefield. You know, they're kind of the whips of the Corsairs. The third group are the Rabble. So this is a Chaos Space Marines Codex detachment. It's an allied detachment, including the Preacher, who counts as Dark Apostle, and 35 cultists with shotguns and auto pistols and flamers. So this is just a group of people who left with the guardsmen. They're basically like kind of more civilians who have eventually learned how to fight.
Nice.
When the Guard Regiment fled Braxia, they had to commandeer a Imperial cruiser. Now, when they left, they did so in a hurry. Not only did they leave in a hurry, but they also quickly jumped again and again. This put a lot of strain on the Mars-class battlecruisers' engines. In so doing, they permanently damaged it, and it takes the engineers work day and night to keep the thing from exploding at all times. This has flooded the engine room with dangerous warp energies, let's just say. So the fourth group are the engineers. They're led by the Gorgon. He's the chief engineer. He counts as Typhus. And he has 5 engineers, which are counts as Plague Marines, using Power Fist, Melta Bombs, and Plasma Guns. And they're also accompanied by 35 Petty Engineers, which are counts as Plague Zombies. And so that's basically the list. It's 2 combined arms detachments and 2 allied detachments of just like fluffy, lots of counts as, but you should be able to easily tell what's what when you look at them on the battlefield. Now, when I want to increase it to 5,000 points, that's when I start thinking about actually portraying the squads as arriving on planet, and I include 5 heavy platoon conveyors, which don't really exist yet in the fluff, or in the rules. I've never heard of any kind of Imperial armor unit that can transport an entire platoon at one time. Am I wrong in this, Snorri?
I think you're right, because I think the only version I've seen of this is you have like tracked vehicles that can do this, but not flyers,
right,
as far as I can remember.
The cover of the old 5th edition codex actually has like a huge like escort class lander, which has enormous bays which bring forth all the tanks and stuff, and you march out thousands of troops. I was thinking of something along the lines of something a little bit smaller, kind of like an Imperial Guard Thunderhawk. So I made up this isn't going to be in a PDF for this episode, but it'll probably be included in the annual when we do that. So this is the Glory class platoon conveyor. It's 400 points. It's a super heavy flyer. 12 hull points. Front side armor 12, rear armor 10, 3 void shields, and a transport capacity of 60. It's got 4 twin-linked heavy bolter turrets, 2 on each side, a twin-linked assault cannon in the belly, and a twin-linked melta-gun as a tail gun in case they get chased by a fighter or something. Special rules are packed to the gills. If this transport holds more than 20 passengers, for each hull point lost, 5 casualties are selected by the controlling player for the embarked units as they go careening out into the air. Organized deployment. Squad sizes need not be chosen at the start of the game for units within this transport. Astra Militarum infantry platoon squads may be mobbed up when they disembark instead. When the squads disembark from the transport, they may do so an additional 4 inches, whether moving through cover or not. So just imagine a big, Thunderhawk-sized but fatter, kind of like Valkyrie. It's got like a Valkyrie head and a Valkyrie tail, but it's got this big fat body that can hold 60 troops.
I'm thinking a little bit about Forge World's Tau flyer, the Orca.
Yep, yes, definitely something of that in that. Yeah, because this one can't carry tanks, but it can carry lots of infantry. And visually, I almost see it kind of being like the Valkyrie equivalent of the dropship from Aliens, which has this like little head or this little cockpit in front and the tail in back, but there's this giant body in the center.
Yeah. I think that's actually a very nice visual for people.
Yeah,
because
so
that really is what it's trying to do. The flyer in the movie Aliens tries to drop down a vehicle, but in this case, we're just trying to drop down a whole bunch of people who are stuffed in there.
mhm. Yep. So I think, so if I were to do an apocalypse game, that I would add 5 of those. And so the engineers would go in one, the rabble would go in another, and each infantry platoon would have their own. And I think that would be a fun way to do this list. Though it is kind of big, and I try to do a lot in this, but I kind of wanted to reflect basically an entire force in my list, just to kind of give folks an idea of how far they can go. This would be someone's entire collection, I think. This would just be like a list where you're like, okay, I'm gonna kind of do Traitor Guard. I am doing Traitor Guard. This is my thing,
Okay, so with that done, I do have one question.
Mhm.
Why typhus and plague marines and everything in the engineerium? Is it simply because it's so radiated that they were kind of poison diseased, or is there something else?
I think it's at first it was gonna be like radiation poisoning, herpa derp, like the old 1950s idea of what radiation would do to you. But in actuality, I'm thinking it's a warp engine. So I'm pretty sure these guys are all tainted by chaos. Even though this is a not chaos themed list, I think the engineers are deeply tainted by the warp, if not directly being influenced by chaos.
Nice.
Yeah. I think it's a fun part of the list. It kind of throws a wrench in the gears of the list and keeps it from being too stock standard Imperial Guard. I think it's neat. And the rabble, like with the preacher and the cultists, I think that helps too, where it really is. It's starting to show that the unit is starting to fall apart and may be very ripe for chaos corruption very soon.
Well, that's all I needed to know. I liked it.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, man.
It's a big list.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Not used to playing anything close to 3,000 points.
Right, and like I said, I think this would be more of someone's entire collection. And then they would. That's what I like to do. I like to look at the collection as a list, actually. Like, this is what it would look like if it were fielded all at once. But in actuality, I would actually see most, if I actually collected this list, I would most likely play pieces of it here and there rather than the entire thing all at once.
Yeah, because a good military strategist would probably not commit his entire force at once unless he was absolutely sure it would mean he wins really easy.
Yeah, and let's be honest, you don't want the chief engineer away from that warp engine for too long.
Yep, and nor do you want to put him anywhere close to a regular force of space marines, because then his chances of coming back is quite slim.
Yeah. All right, man. I think that's good for our lists. You want to close out the show?
Yeah. Well, let's take a break first.
Yeah, let's do that.
Dallas-Fort Worth Nerd Night is a community organization that throws tabletop gaming parties for charity. We believe tabletop gamers are uniquely qualified to build better local communities because of the types of relationships built while gaming. If you'd like to learn more about how you can play games and help people with DFW Nerd Night, check out www.dfwnn.org. That's www.dfwnn.org. Thanks.
Okay, I've had enough of the smell of the unwashed masses, so let's close this out.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Oh, hey, Snorri.
Yeah?
How about them Giants, right?
Oh, I'm so annoyed that they lost yesterday. Okay, for everyone that don't live in the US, the Giants, as in the San Francisco Giants, my favorite baseball team, are in the World Series. They barely managed to scrape through, and they're doing really good, but they're down by one game in the World Series, which is like the final golden champions.
Golden ticket.
It's really exciting. So while I was playing Arma yesterday, I was listening to the game and I was like, no, Royals, don't score more. But it was
What
a
kind
one-run.
what kind of a name is Royals, anyways?
Yeah, there's no royalty
Yeah,
where
this
they
is
are
North
from.
America. This is North America,
And
Oh,
also, it's
that's
like
funny.
a royalty in Kansas.
right?
That's
I
like-
could understand if it was a Canadian team.
Yeah. But yeah, so them Giants, they were doing good.
Nice. I'm excited for you, Snorri. Poor Wendy. She didn't get to see the Yankees go to the World Series, but she did at the last second get a ticket off of Craigslist to go to Jarek Jeter's last game at Yankee Stadium. So that was good for her.
That was nice.
Yeah, it was nice. It cost $300, but that's fine.
Yeah,
she
they
got
usually
she got a bus ticket with it. It was one of those bus deals, so it was totally worth it for her. Not a dry eye in the house. She said there were a lot of grown men crying.
Yeah, just not Adam.
No, not me. It was nice though. I actually did watch it on TV. But so outro, right?
Yeah,
Facebook page. Go to the Facebook page.
Yeah, Facebook. Blah, blah.
Firstberg, McGurd, you need to go to Firstberg and lurk us.
Yeah. Facebook.com/Masters of the Forge.
Mm-hmm. And Twitter.
Yeah,
Masters
what?
of Forge at Twitter.
Masters of Forge.
Or at Masters of Forge. That's how that works. You can only have so many letters, but if you search for Masters of the Forge, that's the name of the page.
So you couldn't secure MOTF?
Shut up, Snorri.
Yeah, because one of the things I remember from back in the old days when Twitter was kind of new is that it's a good thing to have sort of like the shortest possible name on Twitter, simply because when people try to mention you, it doesn't take up too much of the message space.
Right. Well, we screwed
Anyway,
up.
Yeah,
And
well,
by
it
we, I
was
mean me.
it was Adam's work, so he didn't know.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I only work with the internet all the time. My wife tells me all the time how bad I am at using the internet for somebody whose job is the freaking internet, and it's true.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes my difficulties in using it help me be better at developing interfaces, because I know how annoying it is when stuff doesn't work the way you expect it to. So yeah. At least I can delude myself into thinking that, right?
Yep, you are allowed to. So, I guess the last thing to mention is our blog page, where we post episodes and sometimes get feedback from listeners. And that
nice.
is mastersoftheforge.com.
Right. And one last time, please go to that Terry Girls Extra Life page and donate. I would really appreciate it. And that's it. That's all I have.
Wow.
That's it.
It's actually, you're asking people to give her money. So it's like, it's not give me your money. It's actually give that person your money.
And
I like
so
that.
doing, give sick children in the hospital your money. So that's good.
Yeah. By the way, is that I feel like a total idiot here, but is that sort of like what's that called?
Child's Play.
Yeah, Child's Play.
Extra Life benefits Children's Miracle Network, which helps kids in who are ill and in the hospital. So you can give $10, $25, whatever you want. And the cool thing with Extra Life is they do like a big day or a big weekend of just like marathon gaming, and it's a big event. It was this past Saturday, like I said, but yeah, that shouldn't stop you. A lot of people do it sometimes the weekend before, the weekend after. Game stores are open 24 hours, and there are very, very tired nerds in there playing games.
People with even bigger bags get underneath their eyes.
Yeah,
than
no,
usual.
It gets crazy. Bring deodorant when you go. those things.
Yeah, speaking of bringing deodorant, I finally listened to the post-Haven episode of the Overlords. My god, that was an interesting episode. And
Yeah,
yes,
it was good.
Jason sings It's a Hard Knock's Life really beautifully.
It is beautiful. It is funny how much those two episodes parallel. I loved it.
Yep. So, until next time.
Keep playing the game the way you want to.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial, International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission.